I'm going to kick things off. We have the highly esteemed and reputable Crystal Oakes. I've worked with Crystal and her team for almost a decade now. Crystal is going to talk this morning about strategic photography for your website. So very excited to hear about how we can use websites. And there's like a million, or photography in the websites. There's a million different options now. I mean, we've got iPhones that can take good pictures. We've got AI generating images. We've got stock photography, and we've got professional photography. So I'm excited to hear what Crystal has to share, and I'll turn it over to her.
Hello. Hello, everyone. We'll get the slides pulled up here so then I can be on track with what I'm going to say next. But it's so nice to be here. I've spoken for the WordPress users group multiple times on several different topics, design principles for websites, a little bit of marketing stuff. But I'm primarily a graphic designer. That's my background. So I do get pulled in for some of these design discussions, which is so much fun. I'm always glad to be invited. There we go. There's me with my vintage camera. Fun fact, I have a whole collection of vintage cameras. I have about 50 of them. Some of them are super old. Some of them are a little bit newer. Some of them are videos. Some are film. Just depends, but I pick them up at garage sales sometimes. And I have a photography minor from OU, a graphic design major is what I studied. And I actually went to a garage sale one time. I bought a camera. I was so excited about it. And then this guy goes, "You like photography?" I said, "Yeah, I studied photography quite a bit. I do a lot of it." And he goes, "Cool. I have a whole big box of vintage cameras that my dad left me, and we just don't have an appreciation for them. And I would love for them to go to somebody who has an appreciation for them." And I said, "Cool, how much do you want for the box?" And he said, "Oh no, I just want them to go to somebody who will love them." So that's where my big collection got started. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to learn today. Pull this up over here too. So we're going to talk about why photography matters on a website. I actually just did a marketing roadmap session for a client not too long ago that had not a single picture on their website, which was super rare for me to see. Usually I see a little bit of photography used on websites, but we are going to talk about why it is important to use photography on websites. We're going to do some visual storytelling in action. We're going to talk a little bit about adding movement with video, planning a photo shoot like a pro. We're going to talk about choosing stock that doesn't suck and making photography part of the initial plan of a website instead of an afterthought. So really, photography is not decoration, it's strategy. I like to remind people a lot that what I actually studied, I say graphic design for short because that's what people know, but my degree from OU is actually visual communications. And I remind people of that a lot because what we're doing with graphics, with photography, with any sort of visuals within your brand is we are actually creating a short form of the written content. We're getting people communicated in a visual way faster. When I've traveled a lot in Europe, and I loved the reference that I could find a bathroom, I could find an airport, I could find a pharmacy, several different things in a different country where I couldn't even read the words below the sign because they were in German or they were in Italian and I had no idea what they were saying. But because of the visual reference of the iconography that was used, I could find those various things. I wasn't completely lost. It's the same thing with photography on a website. What we want to do is tell somebody how inviting Kara is as a massage therapist, right? And you can see her there, and that is absolutely true, right? You get a calming presence with the plants used, with even the colors that she's wearing. There is a lot of color psychology that goes into branding, but a lot of times we don't carry that over into the finished product photos or service photos that are used on a website. So photography is not just meant to be decoration. It is meant to be a strategic use of graphic design and of psychological reference to what is happening in the words. Okay, so I told you a little bit about me, but I'll dive in a little bit further. So I own Oaks Creative House. We are a boutique marketing agency. I had a minor in photography from OU. I have been behind the camera for thousands of brand and lifestyle shoots. Literally thousands. Some of them in the companies that I worked for prior to starting Oaks Creative House, a lot of them within Oaks Creative House. I have been the creative director for hundreds of professional shoots. I don't love getting behind the camera anymore because I have some neck and shoulder problems. Holding a camera all day, it's heavy equipment, you're moving around a lot. So what I have found now that I do for our clients is I show up, I plan, I direct, I bring a photographer to sit behind the camera for me. So I'm a designer of hundreds of websites for service and product-based businesses, and I am passionate about helping small businesses show up with confidence online, because I know that that's a hard thing to do. And then that's my husband, Steven, and our little guy, Grayson, in the picture there. He turned 2 in April, and he is absolutely keeping me on my toes 24/7. So first impressions are visual. People look before they read. Visitors decide in seconds whether they trust your brand, whether they want to stick around. One of the biggest compliments I've ever received in my business is from somebody who found me on Instagram. She is based in Portland. She gets on a sales call with me, a discovery call with me, to talk about a brand and a website for a new business that she's starting. And at the end of this 30-minute call, she says, "This makes me so happy." And I said, "Oh, could you share where that came from?" And she said, "You are exactly who I expected you to be." She said, "I have followed your videos, your website. I do deep research on anyone. I take their time for a discovery call and make sure that it's someone I might want to connect with. And you are exactly who I expected you to be." And the reason for that is because I made a first impression with her online before I ever met her. And that first impression resonated with her because I thought through, who do I want my audience to be? Who do I want to show up as? I love holding a vintage camera in my photos. I love that my shirt says plant lady because I have so many plants in my house. I love that that feels like a great representation of me. And when someone meets me, they don't have to wonder if I'm really the same person or not. So first impressions are visual. So let's talk for a second about a before and after example. Now, I could have done a ton of these, but I pulled up a quick one on a site that we're working on now. So on the left is the previous website for urgent pet care in Evans. And the problem that they were experiencing with their site is there's a lot of competition in their industry. There's actually another urgent pet center that opened a few miles down the road from them. There's a few different emergency vet centers around the area. There's your regular kind of everyday vet. There's a lot of competition in their area. But one of the things that we identified in the strategic process was that, let's see if I can move this far out, was that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the way to minimize it.
That's okay. Anyways, one of the things that we identified was that nobody gets to see their staff anywhere. They have 3 amazingly, like really acclaimed veterinarians that are all practiced in emergency veterinarian medicine that are coming to this urgent pet care center, which is unheard of. I actually have a sister-in-law that works in emergency vet medicine. And it is a whole different skill set than your regular vet practice, right? Because you're dealing with a dog that might have got hit by a car. You're dealing with somebody that maybe needs to go into euthanasia or something like that. It's a very different, like, triage, emergency, quick on your feet practice. They have 3 of them at this center, and no one knows it. No one knows it because nobody's visible. So this is the draft of their website that I sent out last week. And while I'm sure we'll tweak a few things on it, you can immediately see this top section is actually a video. And it shows the inside of their back offices, where they're going to actually work on your pet, where your pet would have surgery if they need to have surgery there, where they're going to stabilize them if they need to send them to an emergency room, those different things. We now see the friendly faces that are going to be there when you are in an urgent emergency situation trying to get your pet taken care of. And that makes a huge difference versus a really nice looking stock photo of I think terrier that was pretty, but doesn't really tell the whole picture. Okay, so let's talk for a second about what makes good website photos work. I believe in wider shots. A lot of times when portrait photographers take photos, they want to get really up close and personal to tell that emotional story, and that's what works in portrait photography. But on a website, we're building responsive websites that are going to resize on how many different screen sizes. We need some breathing room in those shots. And yes, now you can use Photoshop's generative fill to fill in a little bit of background here and there. Which works pretty well, but if you don't have a subscription to it, or you're not familiar with some of those tools, you just don't have the extra room to work with. So you can see here on this first photo, it's not such an up close portrait of her. Now, if I was going to send this in as a headshot, she's going to be a speaker somewhere, I would have cropped it closer. But for a website, I love the extra breathing room around it. Horizontal images are a must. It is really hard to use vertical images in website design. There are not a whole lot of places that you can do that. They often get cropped into squares because we have a little bit of copy that needs to sit by a photo, but we don't want the photo taking up so much space that now we've got awkward white space on the page. So horizontal photos are a must. That is another thing that if you're directing a photographer, you should specifically ask for more horizontal shots because they don't often do that by default. Consistency builds trust. Your visuals should feel like they belong together, even if they're spread out across different pages. And I put the example here. This is actually from the first, let me go back here, same photo shoot. This is the owner of Resonance Massage, Mind Body Wellness. And you can see here that instead of just choosing a stock photo for prenatal massage, we actually pulled in a model and brought her in and did it under the same lighting in the same studio with the same wood floors, the same wall color, and it all fits. So going the extra mile to create that consistency really does make a huge difference. So I wanted to pull through some examples. Now, I'm gonna have to walk off screen to take this out. So this is Salon Hair Salon. And you can see, so you can see here, they're a very high-end hair salon in Norman. And they have a big team, it's like 35 stylists or something like that. I think it is important to show interiors of spaces. People hate that unknown when they're gonna walk into a doctor's office or a salon or something and they're like, oh, is there gonna be a place for me to sit? Is it gonna be dark? Is it gonna be light? It's just, there's a lot of fear about going into a place you've never been. But on top of that, we have a lot of personality shown in the images. This is a product shoe right here with some of the products that they sell. There's a lot of personality. There's actual hands and actual people interacting with the things that they do. And then pink is their secondary brand color. They're very neutral because they're high end, so pink is the secondary. So we brought in a pink backdrop to make this happen. So don't forget also that photos are a great way to add more color to your website without messing up color contrast for accessibility, without messing up the site just to give the wrong connotation, because if I was to throw bright pink all over this website in graphics, I think it would cheapen the entire experience for their brand. But I did it in photos, and that makes a really big difference. So that being said, those details shouldn't go unnoticed. So font is a really great example of confidence, color, and connection that happens consistently throughout their site. Oh. So let's look at Cutie Paws for a second. So this is one of my clients in Atlanta. They do pet sitting in Atlanta. And when they first contacted me, the owner said, I really don't want to have my picture made. Like, I really just don't want to be in pictures. I'm really leery of it. Like maybe a headshot, maybe one picture with me and my dog, and that's as far as I'm willing to go. So I said, okay, let's think outside the box. How do we get other real people that are interacting with your brand on a regular basis to show up in some photography for you? So what she did is she did a giveaway to her pet sitting clients and ended up, ended up giving away a photo shoot to this couple and another couple. And she brought in a photographer in the Atlanta area that actually specializes in pet portraits. So we're not having dogs that are just looking off screen and being awkward the whole time in the photos. They're actually posed and cute. And this is a painting on a wall in Atlanta. So it all fits and it flows with her brand. But she went the extra mile to say, how do I actually involve my clients in my photography? And that can make a big difference. To throw in kind of a fun fact there, when we bring in clients, real ones, or I call them fake clients, pretend clients for photo shoots, I always give them a headshot. Take the extra time to have your photographer take a headshot for them. They got dressed up to come show up for your brand. You can surely give them a free headshot in exchange. So I felt like that was a really fun way to involve them. So they captured the care in action. They showed not only the family with their pets, but the sitters with their pets if you go through the rest of the site. The sitters are down interacting on the ground with the pets. And it just really creates a different feeling than if you were just to have dog pictures all over the website that were stock, inconsistent lighting, not the same style. So let's talk about Pamela for a second. Pamela is a coach to executives, and she teaches actor coaching for executives. So she has coached actors on Hamilton, on multiple Broadway plays. She used to work at the Yale School of Drama, and she has turned that skill set into teaching executives how to give better speeches, presentations, TED Talks, town hall meetings, those kind of things. So she helps people with their filler words like she helps them with their breath control. She uses a lot of that actor skills and teaches them. So it's really important if you're going to hire as an executive a high-end coach to come into your business and coach them, you're going to want to have a feel about what that person is like, right? That's going to be really important to you. So her portrait being first and foremost was really important. But look at the crop of this shot. This would have been a beautiful cropped in, people online can't see me, cropped in headshot of her, but instead we came out wide, we left some room so that we can do things with it, like make it a splashy image on top of the website. But we also have her, there's her with all of her, there she works with. We also brought in her fake clients where she is giving an hands-on presentation. There's some photos throughout where she is actually practicing breath control. She does an exercise with her clients where they breathe through a straw, and part of her website talks about some of those hands-on exercises where they put a cork in their mouth and they have to give a speech with a cork in their mouth, which I think would be really difficult to do. But we actually had her bring those props, bring people in, and we demonstrated that. So throughout her site, her social media, her other marketing, you get this hands-on feeling of what it's going to be like to be in a workshop with her, which she actually calls a play shop, which I think is really fun. So that's another great example there. Let's see what we have next. Anthony Haskins. One of the main reasons I wanted to bring him up, big screen. One of the reasons I wanted to bring him up is because of this. And I think that this is a really good segue into the question that Tim asked me earlier. I'll come back on camera over here. Tim was asking earlier, how do you intermingle other photos that maybe weren't taken by a professional photographer? You were at an event, you were, you took a really great shot with your iPhone one day and you want it to go on your website. Sarah has a look.
That camera's not working. I'm trying to figure out why.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how do you incorporate those other things? I don't necessarily think that lower quality photos should be used in large hero sections of a website. I would never sacrifice quality of that area, having the big, breadth of excitement that it does for using a specific photo. I think you could use it as reference, hire a photographer and recreate that in a studio or whatever you need to do. But I love this example here because he could say all day long that he was on the Dr. Phil show for 20 years. He could say it till he's blue in the face, but nothing can tell that story more than seeing this shot where he was on camera in the background helping advise whatever Dr. Phil did. So what Anthony does, for those that are curious, he would take Dr. Phil, will hype everybody up on screen and get them all excited and say, you did this wrong or whatever, and they're all emotional. Anthony took them and created a mental health plan for them afterwards. So that everybody's aware, there is some mental health aspect of what happened on the Dr. Phil show. It's just not all live on camera. But I think that's a great use of pulling in other types of photography onto your website. Greta. So Greta is a really great example of a very planned photo shoot. So her inspiration for her brand, we did her branding, her photos, and her website design. But her inspiration for her brand was very Tiffany's, as you can see with the Tiffany blue and the golds. So it was very Tiffany inspired, but we wanted to bring some of her style into the photo shoot. So she actually brought her Louis Vuitton bag she brought her Burberry scarf, right? She bought this luggage just for this photo shoot that is in her brand colors. It has that camel color and white to it. We picked a studio that didn't necessarily feel cold. It had the brick wall to it, so it kind of feels like it may be, you know, at the train station, waiting on the train. It has the concrete floors. All of those things were very intentional. Even her every outfit she brought was planned. She sent me pictures from dressing rooms to pick out these outfits. So every outfit that she brought was very planned. Every prop that she brought was very planned on purpose because she is a luxury vacation specialist. That is what she does, is sells luxury travel. So how do you, with your iPhone selfie on your website, sell luxury vacation travel? Like you can't be the travel agent for luxury vacations if you have really bad photography on your website. But you may think, oh, I'm not in Greece right now with a photographer to take pictures of me. That's okay. You can just think strategically and plan things out with your strategist or your photographer and make those things happen. So that's a great idea of what we kind of call a styled photo shoot. The yoga spa. Yoga spa is kind of my new favorite. I was there every day last week. Telling myself a little bit. So my clients opened this yoga studio that also has massage therapy and wellness. Within it, there are saunas and sauna pods and lymphatic rollers and all the things. And they opened it 10 minutes from my house.
That's dangerous.
So I go there all the time, and it's on my way to daycare every day. So I leave my house early, I go there, I do something, and then I go to daycare to get Grace. So, but one thing I really preached to them was you have to show people what this space looks like. You can't be selling a yoga membership and then not getting a good idea of what the yoga studio looks like. You can't be talking about your sauna and them going, oh, is it like way out in the open where everybody can see me? Is everybody naked in there? Like there's so many questions that go through everyone's minds. Let's just take the questions out of it. You can have a photo shoot done for your location just like they did. And you can actually show people what it looks like, what the massage room looks like, what the sauna pod rooms look like. You know, everything is, even down to the men's and women's bathrooms. I mean, you can see every aspect of what their spa actually looks like. You know, even I love this one here on Super Color Bigger. They have every prop you could ever think of for yoga on their wall. And a lot of studios don't. They have a handful of things if you forgot to bring yours. They actually provide all that for you, which I love because I can just walk in totally unprepared and still experience a really great workout. Husband homes. I did not do the photography on this website, but I would have loved to walk into all of these homes. But sadly, by the time we got to the website, a lot of them were occupied. So Husband Homes is a great example of photography being very, very important. Now, obviously, they build luxury, modern, custom homes. So they have a photographer come in when every build is finished. And that's part of their process. And you know, the other day I actually was talking to an architecture client and I said the same thing. She was like, I can't budget for a photographer to go to every place we've ever built and have them like, how does that fall into my marketing budget? I said, it doesn't. It falls to your project budget. Like your clients will also want photos of their brand new custom home. They will also want photos of their brand new office space that you just built for them. You build it into your project that you're building and you make it part of your process. So that's something to think about too, is if there's a lot of like hands-on things happening, you know, even Sarah with a workshop, if you're bill it in a little bit, bill it, you may split the cost with them and say some of it's for marketing purposes, but you may charge a little bit more for your next workshop and bring in a photographer and let that be part of the process. You know, and let some of the clients pay for some of that work to be done because that is also what shows off what they did. It's what shows up, it's what brings in new business, right? So you can see here that they have gorgeous photos of their modern homes. Down here. And big gallery images of what those homes look like. Because if I'm going to consider hiring a custom high-end home builder for millions of dollars to build my home, I want the whole Pinterest experience on my homepage or on my desktop while I'm looking through it. So that's what we did. It's big, high-end luxury photos for people to look through. And you know what will happen with this? They just launched about a month ago. Is that I guarantee you they will get clients actually come and go, you know what, on the third picture down, I really like those lights. So this will actually be so helpful for their process to have that information on their website. I also really like this. Let's talk about Sulo for a second. Sulo is one of our recent brands that we launched that I really am in love with because they're just so much fun. And this dad, it's David, created this product, you can see it hanging on the wall a little bit there, to hold syringes, kids' syringes for medicine. Because I have a 2-year-old right now, and those things are everywhere, and you're like, is this dirty? Did somebody wash it? Let me rinse it out real quick. You actually just give them the medicine, rinse it out, and hang it up on the thing. And he 3D printed it and then decided to have them manufactured, and it attaches to your backsplash on your wall in your bathroom or your kitchen, and you can just keep up with those syringes. His little guy here has autism and several medical problems. So they are dealing with this problem of a lot of medicine syringes a lot. So he invented this and he was like, I don't know, I just created the product. Now you got to help me sell it. So I said, well, I'm actually one of your ideal clients. So if you don't have a whole lot of direction for your brand, do you want me to just pull inspiration from the other brands I buy from? And he said, absolutely. So we came up with Sulo for him. And it's so much fun because, well, the graphics are fun and it all leads to a kid's brand. But we also have him and his kids first and foremost on here. The copy is talking about the story of him and his wife and their child with medical needs and how the syringes became a problem, right? We have his whole family shown here, but on top of that, we brought in a family, it's a cousin of theirs, of a completely different ethnicity. We brought in culture, we brought in diversity, and we did that on purpose so that we could paint a picture of another family interacting with the product, which is real true how you would wash it at the sink and hang it up, right? But we did it very strategically down to the outfits that they're wearing. I actually, you can see a little glimpse of it here. We printed out printouts that looked like kids' coloring sheets and magneted them to the fridge so that they could be in the photos. We had their patterns from their brand. I literally printed them on my home printer, you guys. But when we did late flash shots of their brand, we have their logo, we have their patterns, we have even just swatches of the colors within their brand laid down, and we put their product on top of it and took pictures of it. So getting into the details is an incredible use of time because what we're doing is we're communicating what this brand is, how it feels, how you interact with it. This is my little play couch for my upstairs that I brought to their photo shoot. My whole car is full. It's a whole thing. Actually, fun fact, but everything that I buy for my own house, I think, how would that look in a picture one day? I took my high chair, I took my little kitchen helper stool that my guy stands on, and a lot of those things ended up in photos. But I think, working with people that do branding and people that do photography that are gonna go that extra thought process and that extra mile is really important. Okay, I'm gonna get through a few examples. Product based. Honestly, Margot. You see a lot of pictures like this on a website. This product is in a package. That is how it would be packaged, how you would find it on a shelf. But when we do product photography for them, we do things like this, which is really important. This isn't the exact flavor of orange sorbet. You're gonna see that in the first picture, right? But you get an idea of what that product actually looks and feels like. You can see the texture on those back bombs. That becomes really important. We even took it and put it in water. I took a glass dish and filled it with water and dropped that in and did lay flat shots while it was fizzing so that you get an idea of what color your back is going to be when you use that back block. So I feel like it's really important, and I feel like, Sarah, you can tell me if you agree with me or disagree later, but I feel like a lot of product-based businesses really miss showing it out of the package, showing it in use. You guys, I get it. You have to burn through some products in order to make that happen, but it is 100% worth it because you're going to get it back in sales. Eat, Drink, Post is another great example of details. This is a photo shoot we did for them. What I wanted to point out here was it was like cardboard and paper party accessories that you could do. So this one particularly is Christmas. Guys, there's cookies on this tray. I did a shot for them one time where we got hot dogs, my dog ate one of them, like it was a whole thing. But the level of detail, like my husband went and found this branch for me somewhere. Like the level of detail that goes into some of these photos in order to sell a product makes a difference. Because could I have just shown this on a website and you go, that's cute. What am I gonna do with a cardboard placemat? But you show it in a tablescape. You show it in something that they can imagine what it would look like in their house. Now you're getting sales, right? That makes a really big difference. Okay, so now that I've shown you a million examples, I want to talk for a second about video. So video is something that we're kind of newly doing. It's been hard for our size clients to really be able to afford a lot of video to go on their website because video can be expensive to have created. But they sell these tires that go on planters for no-till planting for cotton, barley, wheat, those types of fields. And they're like 5th generation farmers. It is a dad and his son that created this product, right? It is really important, really hoping that would move around. It is really important for us to show off what they do instead of just talking about it. And while photos do a really great job of that, there's just nothing like telling a story with video. I think it makes a really big difference. Even down to that, look how those things fit together, how you're gonna install it onto your planter. I'm gonna use all the wrong terminology now. So 4Ag Manufacturing is a great example of how we've incorporated both photo and video. If you want to go check out their website sometime. Ashley St. Clair, I was talking about her earlier. One of my very favorite photographers to work with. She self-produced her video that is on her website. But can you just get a feeling for what being behind Ashley's camera is like? There she is in Iceland. There she is running up on a job site taking pictures, posing someone in her studio. We're taking away a lot of question marks in people's minds by showing them what working with Ashley is like. Right? It's fun, it's silly, she's got a big personality. You've met Ashley. This feels like Ashley, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So video can make a big difference in that regard. I have one more example of video. This is one we did recently. Miss Brooke is an estate attorney in Edmonds. And I absolutely love that she showed up in the lilac purple suit. Like it was the best thing that had ever happened. And so we planned out her shoot with her. She brought some props, coffee mugs, those kind of things. But you know, for her brand, that laughing, smiling vibe is not it. We're talking about helping people get through probate. We're talking about people, you know, talking about what's going to happen after they die and where the money is going to go to their kids. These are really serious subjects that we're talking about. So we didn't want to have a laughing, smiling video of Brooke on here. It wasn't the right look for the brand. We also brought in some, let's see, here we go. We also brought in some fake clients of hers that are the right age demographic that would be her actual clients. So we didn't just bring in her kids, right? We actually strategically thought about what that would be. There's photos and videos of her holding their hands, getting really close and hugging them and talking to them. Everything that you would want someone to be, an attorney to be, when you're going through a process with your elderly dying parents, right? So we didn't just tell people that in the words that we wrote, the words all say all of that. But we're actually just showing them with the strategic use of photo and video. So how do I plan a photo shoot? If you wanted to plan a photo shoot like a pro, how did that happen? So the first thing that I ask any client is, what is your budget? They may not know the answer, so I have some numbers put together about what it would kind of cost me to do some of those things. But if their budget is really small, then we're going to pop into a mini session, or I'm going to strategically send them to a photographer that already knows some of the principles that I like. We're going to brainstorm. So I actually have them start by making a Pinterest board. They send it to me about a week before our kickoff call for a photo shoot, and I add to it. So what I'm looking for is consistency in posing, the lighting style that they like. What's in the background, was the space that it was shot in very light and airy, or was it dark and moody? I am finding consistencies in their Pinterest board. Now, I have some clients that are like, I don't want to make a Pinterest board. And I'm like, cool, you have to. I'm sorry. Because You don't know all the terminology to communicate to me what the visuals should be. You don't know a lot of the difference between, a moody style with a filter or without. You don't know those nuances in order to tell me. So I need you to show me. So I say, set a 30-minute or an hour timer on Pinterest and just go crazy for a little bit. I want you to not think about it. I just want you to pin the things that you like and let me sort out what that means for you and your brand. So then from there, I make a shot list. I've gotten pretty good with ChatGPT that I can talk through a shot list on a video. It can read the transcript and it can make me a pretty good list that I add to. We talk about location and date, very important to get the right photographer on the right day, the right studio that's open on that day. I often avoid winter photo shoots because most of the studios around here are very Christmassy. Very, very Christmassy. And you have to like take down trees and stuff and allow enough time to put them all back up before you leave. So that's not very convenient. So our photo shoot seasons are dying off right now. And then we talk about what to wear, what to bring, who to bring, what they should wear. I put together slides that's like, here are the colors your stand-in clients should wear. No patterns, no sleeveless tops for women. They don't usually like to be photographed that way. There are details in the information that I'm giving them. So I actually have all of this in a planning guide. If anyone would like to grab that QR code, it's also on my website as a free downloadable, but it will walk you through exactly how I plan photo shoots. So I think it's a great resource. Let's talk for a second. I know I'm a little bit over time, so if anybody needs to leave, you can. Let's talk for a second about choosing the right stock photos. So I think some of the big issues with stock photos is inconsistence in lighting, inconsistent in who's being represented, making sure that the ideal client is actually represented. Like I was putting up a stock photo for a med spa the other day. And one of our designers chose the photo, showed me the proof of the page, and I said, nope, go back and research another photo to use. Because they had a beautiful photo of a very 18-year-old looking model. And I said, I don't know what 18-year-old needs to or can't afford to go to a med spa. So we have to think about those things. Was it aesthetically stunning on the page? Was she gorgeous in the photo? Yes, to all of those things. But it wasn't the right demographic. So we need to be thinking about those things. We need to be thinking about what multicultural representation looks like in photography. We need to be having diversity in camera angles, but that also flow together. So you really have to be detailed when you're looking through stock photos. One of my favorite examples of stock photos here is Leaderboard. I'll put them up real quick. So Leaderboard uses stock photos a lot in their website. However, we've done it very purposely. I looked at what these models are wearing, what they're holding in their hands, what ethnicities they are, if they have the right expression on their faces. I mean, if she was holding a sign that said equal pay and she had this bright smiley look on her face, that would probably not be the right message that we're wanting to convey with this copy that talks about our mission being to forward equal pay for women. Right? So even the cutouts of the stock photos. I mean, I intentionally chose her to wear a blue suit to go with the brand colors. So those things become really important. I wanted to show this slide here because this is a screenshot from Envato Elements. That's the subscription that I have for stock photos. I love using the filter bars on the side. Love it. Because if you need a person, you can say 1, 2, or 3 people, right? You can tell it that. If you're looking at that photo in the middle and you're like, that's nice, but for this area of the website, it's just going to be really crowded. Bring that down to 1 or 2 people and see how that feels. See if you're getting better results. I love using the color filter. I will, like if I was finding a stock photo of Sulo, I'd pick that purple in a heartbeat and I would find something that has a purple in it. It's also a great trick for people who love light and airy styles to find a color that represents it in a photo versus putting the text on their website that way because you can't get color contrast for good accessibility. I often filter by landscape because, like we mentioned earlier, using vertical pictures on a site is really difficult. You can also, on most stock photo sites, go to similar images and more from that artist. Because that artist likely has a similar style around their stock photos. So this style I would represent as very true to color. very vibrant in the way that it's shot, very well lit. They have very well lit photos. Even on it from an airplane to a handshake in an office, you know, there's a variety in kind of what they're shooting, but I see consistency throughout. So if you can choose photos by the same artist or that their algorithms are saying are similar photos, sometimes that can be really helpful. So here's a couple different styles that I usually try to nail down in my mind. Is a client in one of these styles? Something kind of light and airy. Usually it's a white background. Something moody that a lot of times works well for attorneys, or I have a HVAC client who really has a vintage style, so moody photos work really well for him. Or something really vibrant. If I was shooting for Honestly Margot again, or for Sulo, I think that really vibrant, bright color style works really well. So I want to talk for a second about this one, and then I'm going to wrap up. I get this often from clients. I hate having my picture taken. Nobody really loves it. I mean, maybe if you're a professional model, right? But people buy from people. People are not buying right now from faceless companies. It's just not a thing that's happening. Connection beats perfection every day. So if you can connect with someone, then that's what you need to be doing in order to grow a business. Now, that being said, the first several photo shoots I did, I was an all-day photo shoot. My husband rented a U-Haul to bring the right props down to that studio. I had professional hair and makeup done. My stand-in people had professional hair and makeup done because I wanted everybody to feel like $1 million during that photo shoot, right? And I have several clients, the first time they do a photo shoot, it is very well planned and very strategic and very buttoned up the way that they're doing it. By their third one, they're like, which of these jackets from my closet would you like me to show up in? I'm going to do my own hair and makeup. They're a lot more relaxed about it. I think doing photo video takes a lot of practice, because if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, it's just something you need to be doing over and over again, because the stats prove themselves in terms of using photo and video for a business, how much that's going to increase your sales. So your face doesn't have to be everywhere, which is why I love brand shoots, not just telling you to go get a headshot as a client, because we can show your hands at a desk wearing the same lilac purple suit that you were wearing in your headshot, right? And now we've created consistency, but it doesn't have to be Miss Brooks smiling at the camera in every single shot. So make photography part of the plan. We quote it for our clients when they ask us for a website. We ask them on the onboarding for a website, what is your plan for photography? If they tell me in the sales process that they don't plan on having photography done, I will back out of that contract. I will tell them I won't build your website, because I don't believe that I am the marketer for faceless companies. I'm not great at it. And I want to be honest with them about that. But being honest with them up front makes a massive difference. So that's all that I have for you today. I'm happy to stay and answer questions if anybody has questions. I think I answered most of the questions that were brought up originally, but I'm hoping that this gave you a lot of inspiration around photography on websites or for brands in general, from kind of the perspective of what it ends up looking like on the front end. Now what do I do with my hand? Do we have a favorite client? Favorite example?
I thought your product photography, what is it? Hello, Margot.
I love Margot.
Yeah,
They look good.
yeah, those were.
They actually have some that I've done for them that I liked a lot better, but they've pulled them off their website and I just did not have the energy to go search through old files. But they have a lavender aromatherapy product, and I took lavender out of my garden and laid it out on this photo shoot. So I'm usually known for like going into every little detail when it comes to especially product shots, because I think that really sells them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and people also on top of that forget there's actually 3 layers of product shots that I think a business needs. Your basic, here's what it looks like in a package on a white background. Then you need the product out of the package, you know, something to show it off where it's not just wrapped in plastic. And then I also think you just need interaction with people. You know, would it be great for them to rent a very nice Airbnb one day and drop that bath bomb into a bathtub for a photo shoot? Yeah, that would be great.
Well, and it's funny that going back as far as I have with product-based businesses, I was kind of in the beginning stages of e-commerce really being accessible.
Yeah.
Not just to larger corporations, but to that handcrafter. So everybody was starting out with, here's just my basic product. And they started going, no, 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 you have to have it in the packaging. So when people buy from your website, they know how it's gonna show up. And we've kind of come back full circle of, okay, well, now they know what it looks like. What does it do? And we're entering into this stage where all of this lifestyle photography is so much more critical than just that, very pristine, very styled, here's your product in the packaging. So it's fascinating seeing your perspective of, yes, we've got to lean into that so much more.
Absolutely, and if Instagram is a huge moneymaker for a product-based business, then they've got to be refreshing those photo shoots often.
Yes.
Because once you see the same, if you're following them, you're interested in their bath bombs or whatever, you've seen that picture 1,000 times, it's gonna be something new and fresh visual to grab your attention that's gonna make happen. I follow a company called Apothecary, it's with a K, so to C in the spelling, and their product shots are like, they're amazing. They're amazing. They're all like liquid supplements, but they, man, they pull out the stops for their product photography and it definitely shows.
Nice.
It'll pop up on my Instagram feed and I know what company it is before I've clicked on it or look at it. Anybody else have a favorite?
Yeah.
Or a question?
I think that's long photo shoot was really good.
Yeah.
We had pink backgrounds, it looked really high end. There's a nice diversity of clients there to see the hurdles you had to jump through with each one, so that's a good presentation of good diversity of type of clients.
Good, thanks. I pulled my whole website list of all the ones I've ever created and I was like, which one should I?
Yeah, you went to a different business sector for each one, that's
Yeah.
up through.
Luxury photography is interesting because a lot of people do want to make it very monochromatic. And if their brand is already very monochromatic, then it can just look really boring at the end of the day. So I love that they have the pink and they really moved it. But I also do get a lot of people that like very light, airy brands, very soft, almost watercolor, pastel looking colors. And man, you run that through a website accessibility checker, it's going to be thrown out in a second. So I always talk to them about a balance, but using those lighter colors very strategically. We're likely to do one for a chiropractor coming up. I think her color style is going to be pretty light, but that's probably what I'll suggest. Let's order a backdrop in that color. Let's shoot some photos on it.
I think that's so smart to do it that way, to create, just the backdrop in very neutral colors, but then really taking the branding colors into the photography versus trying to do it the opposite way. That's something I see a lot is the website backgrounds are, neon yellows and this and that, because that's the branding colors. And then they go back to, especially with product based, they go right back to that white square background product photography. So to do it in an absolute reverse and seeing the examples of how much cleaner, how much more readable it is huge. So I love seeing that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I often ask people to give me reference points of what brands they love. And we talk a lot about the difference between a Walmart ad is very different than a Chanel ad. Like those are two very, very different aesthetics. And most often, if what your brand wants to be known for is luxury or high-end or value of any sort, where you don't want people to be cutting into your prices or negotiating, it needs to be represented that way. And a lot of times that means simplifying and not overdoing it. And sometimes that's really hard for people to wrap their minds around that, is that designed, because it is simple, because it didn't use every brand color on the homepage layout. It's better for what they're trying to do in most cases. I'm also not usually a fan of colored text on websites. Most of the text that I do on websites is like dark headings and gray or black body copy, because I just feel like that can cheapen a brand in an instant too, depending on the situation. But in most cases, it's like, oh, you just really wanted to use your purple color and you didn't have a place to use it. So it ended up in this headline and not great. So bringing it into photography makes a big difference. I mean, even to the point where if you look at my closet, my brand colors is like my whole wardrobe. Now, did I choose my emerald green because I look pretty good in green? Possibly, but that's okay. And if you're working with personal brands, like Brooke looks stunning in that purple suit, right? So like that is a great color for her to lean into.
We have a question from chat. My company manufactures products and oftentimes it is hard to get in-use images in the field. Most of our clients have limited access to their sites. How could we go about showing off what our products can do, like the FORAG or the video one you had?
Yep.
Also, the products sold online and in our catalogs are currently using illustrations instead of the actual product. Do you suggest we move to real product images?
Yes, I definitely think real product images make a really big difference. That was one of the things I ran into with my architecture client is they had the mock-ups of their buildings, but not the finished piece. And they're just a different feeling when you see an actual photo of something versus an illustration. Now some of the illustrations can be fun accents to see like where it started or how it was, if somebody's gonna if it's like a manufacturing product, like seeing an illustration of their closing wheel and how it works, like could be very beneficial. However, I think seeing it in use is really big. So the way we got the FORAG photos is we actually went onto their family farm and it was very timed. Like I had to move 3 meetings to make that photo shoot happen. I had to call clients and be like, I'm sorry, but it's harvest season or something and I have to do this today. So it was very timed to get it in the right spot at the right time, but we did it on their family farm. He could only make us 5 passes with that tractor without screwing up his field. So it was also very tricky to be like in a real life environment with a product. And I think it takes a lot of strategic planning because if I get 5 passes, I'm going to really think about what direction are you going and where's the photographer standing and all of those details in order to make that happen. I have done a lot of food photography in my past as well. My mom owned a bakery for 20 years, but La Braza here in Oklahoma City, I did their first website. They've since signed with another firm and redone it, but their food photography, he wasn't willing to burn food. He didn't want to waste food costs. So we stood in their kitchen and photographed plates as they went out. And talk about a stressful evening. Luckily, he fed me really well at the end of that week. But I mean, he would literally say, order up. We brought it over to we had several staged areas on the other side of their kitchen. We would set it where we wanted it and I would photograph it and it would go out for it. Well, it's still hot. Sounds terrible. It's still hot. But luckily, they were amazing at plating. Like they looked beautiful for the most part. But it was stressful. So sometimes in order to get the shot, we have to work within the constraints of how the product works, where it's available. But man, staging something out has always benefited me. Like for every client that I've seen that play out for, it's like bringing in fake clients to the salon to get their haircut that day for free. That benefited them because you can picture yourself what it's going to be like sitting in that salon chair, right? So depending on what it is, go fly there, go stage it, go get involved, like set up a fake version in a studio. I mean, we did one year that was something to do with Christmas trees, live Christmas trees. And we brought them all into the studio to stage out a full Christmas living room setup for this company. So I mean, like, just don't think of it as oh, that's going to be too hard. Go the extra mile and do the hard thing because it's going to pay off. So I hope that answers.
Along that line, you're talking about having an investment of getting really nice product photography and videography, putting it out on the website. With us being in such a digital space right now and things moving so fast, what's a realistic time frame of how long these photo shoots and images should be relevant on your website before you need to repeat the process?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I usually tell most of my clients about a year. A good photo shoot, if they do a 2-hour, very planned, very styled photo shoot with me, when they do shoots with me, they get every photo that we took. I take out closed eyes and repeats. That's it. They get all those other photos. It's not like they got 10 that day. So they can use them over and over again. Now it's a variation of that photo. Now it's a different, angle or a different shot. So usually for most businesses, it'll last them about a year, unless they're just really heavy in their photo marketing. Like honestly, Margot, they're posting multiple times a day to Instagram. They likely need a photo shoot every 6 months or possibly every quarter for that type of business. But one thing that we've done with them is actually went in and trained them on how to get better photos, because sometimes it doesn't make logical or budget sense to have a photographer do it every time. So right now I have a quote out with a supplement company and I said, let us come in, do a shoot so that you have all those photos, but let's let your person who's helping with marketing shadow us that day. And I will talk through why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, implications for lighting, why I backed up and took a wider shot, like those kind of things. So that they can replicate it the best they can, because we all have budget constraints that we have to appeal to too. So sometimes investing in the good photography also brings a lot of inspiration for the ones that you're gonna come in and supplement with.
Yeah, especially working with product-based businesses, ones that are so seasonal in what they do, you know, you can maybe reuse a set of things every holiday, but there's only so many holidays you can reuse before you start to dilute what you're actually trying to convey with your photography and what the website looks like, so.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and for some makers, like they may wanna invest in some equipment and do it well, but hire somebody really good to teach you. It's gonna make a really big difference. Any other questions? Without questions today. Okay,
For that, we have nothing for next week.
Okay, for next month, what's their date though?
oh, it's something.
Yes. Alright. It's August 27th, and then I'm doing one in September on accessibility.
Okay.
That's gonna be good.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. August 27th is our next meetup and there will be details forthcoming. We're not sure what that one will be on yet. And then September, we're going to talk about accessibility. So we would love to have you guys back. So thanks a lot and we will see you next month, if not before.